What's up, man? Welcome.
Thank you.
Burn the
Good to be here.
ship. Burn the ship. This is our business podcast. It's an entrepreneurial podcast. It's to help young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs learn about what you've been through, kind of explain your business, your pitfalls, your successes, everything. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, kind of explain your business.
Okay, cool. Well, my name's Chris Wilson. I have done a lot of things in my career, but for about the last year, I've worked for a company, and what we do is we help businesses develop and build their business credit, corporate credit.
Cool.
And a lot of people don't really know much about business credit, and it's very different than personal credit. But recently, there was a group of us that were on a project, and we actually left the company we were working with, and we started a new. So we've got a new venture that we're just starting, and really our focus is to the terminology we like to use is we help businesses become bankable, and basically what that means is most business owners don't really know how banks look at them and look at business or corporate credit, and our program kind of takes an assessment of where they are, and we have a coaching program to get them to the point where they're more bankable and they can get access to better terms, more higher limits, more funding to grow and scale their business.
Is this mainly to buy property? What are the funds? What are you trying to build their credit for?
Well, typically, we deal with a lot of trade guys, and I talk to them all the time, and a lot of them are bottlenecked because they'll get a job and it might not pay them for 60 or 90 days, and they've got to float that, and they just need more working capital.
Sure.
Or if a business is growing and they need to bring on more employees, well, obviously that takes some time to generate the revenue from that. So businesses always need capital, and there are most business owners bootstrap it and just spend it themselves.
Sure.
And that's the thing about that's kind of interesting. Most business owners' personal credit is worse than an employee's personal credit because they're using their personal credit to fund their business.
A lot of times, yeah, for sure.
So if you learn how to build that and become more bankable and get your business where it can access capital, it makes businesses more valuable, and it makes it easier for business owners to grow and scale. That's the whole point.
Sure. So you walk into a plumber. What's the first thing you do?
So the first thing we do is really kind of just learn about their process, their discovery, what their goals are. We typically like to look at their personal credit just to kind of see where they are. And really it's more about discovery and where they're at, what they're trying to do. And then our process is we put their information into our software, and it gives us basically an assessment of what their business looks like.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things that people don't realize that are hiccups. If you could have a plumbing company and their email address be joesplumbing@gmail. Well, a lot of lenders look at that and they think, this is not a real business.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we see companies that have real revenue that have Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever, and that's a red flag.
Hotmail.
And there's 100 or so metrics like that people don't even realize that go into that score of what banks look at to help.
What are some of the other
financing.
intricacies? An email address. What are some
Believe it
other
or
things?
not, and you're probably as old as I am that you remember this. There used to be a thing called 411.
Of course.
And young people don't even know what that is anymore. But
Branson, do you know what it is?
You know what 411 is?
Where you dial 411 to get the information.
Yeah, and used to you could dial 411 and
Cost you a quarter every time you did it.
every time you did it. But you got the information about the business. Well, there's still a directory out there that's the 411 business directory, and
Sure.
there are many vendors and lenders that will not extend any credit if you're not listed in that. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
You figure they would use Google before they use that now.
Yeah.
Like if you're verified on Google, you would be. That's more of a verifiable thing than 411.
Well, have you been
right?
to the bank lately and you've seen the kind of most bankers have gray hair?
Of course.
They're
Yeah.
not the most tech savvy, but there's lots of things like that. Having your business address not match up on your registration paper.
Sure.
So if your Secretary of State address and your IRS address don't match, that's a red flag.
Yeah, ours. So we have in the payments business, we go through underwriting process every deal we do. So some red flags because underwriting and that underwriting, there's not much difference.
Yeah, it's very similar.
So if you have a PO box, they hate PO boxes. They like actual addresses to an actual thing, and they'll look it up and they'll look at Google and see the picture of the business.
Oh yeah, and a lot of times if it's a linked to a personal home address, that's a red flag.
100%. Yeah, and like I said, they'll look on Google and they'll see it.
But you know, the interesting thing is a lot of business owners don't know any of this stuff.
Sure.
So they go and try to get a working capital line at the bank, and the bank says, "Sorry, you're not qualified."
And they don't give them the reasons why.
And they don't tell them why.
They don't tell them why.
Exactly.
Like what do I need to do to get there to where you do it? And they don't tell them.
They don't
and
tell
the reason they don't tell them is because they don't know. Because they don't talk to the underwriters. Underwriters won't call them and tell them why.
Right. And most bankers have a software model that's a box, and if you don't fit in their box, they're going to tell you no, and there's no education, no improvement, and that's basically what we do. Is our program is a coaching program. It's very affordable, and we help businesses get from where they're at to where they need to be to improve that.
What's that? So you're just starting out right now. What's first steps in the business?
So the first step is to schedule a call with us and do discovery.
Yep.
So that's, you know, we're in the process now of putting together our marketing and how we're getting our message out. And but when somebody calls us, and we're going to sit down and talk to them, and we're going to find out where they're at, what their goals are. Just typical discovery for a business consultant, which is what we are. Then once we put their information in, that gives us an idea of kind of where they're at, where they start, and what we can do to help them. Now, in addition to our business credit building program, we also provide, fractional CFO, help with HR. We have a lot of relationships with partners that we can help business owners really on anything they're working on.
Sure.
You guys, if they need business merchant processing, a lot of companies probably already have that in place, but some that we talk to are looking for those solutions. We want to be a one-stop shop for whatever they need to kind of help them.
Sure. Well, as a consultant, it's easy to go, all right, well, I'm here with you, and we're trying to build your financial aptitude, if you will, your literacy, and that goes along with all the services they're using. So it's easy time to get in there and help them out with all those, because if I can save you enough money in a year, then I'm paying for your service anyways.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's actually a really solid way to go about it.
Yeah.
What is y'all's vertical? You said service industries, but what else do you find that's a good client for you?
Well, believe it or not, pretty much any small business is a great client.
Sure.
Because it's any business that's getting close to thinking about selling, it's a great thing to do, to get in there and look at your business credit and how it works, because so many businesses have the business finances tied in with the owners. And the more you can separate that, the better off you are.
Sure.
And typically what we'll find is an owner will not even really think about it, and they get people start kicking the tires, and all of their vehicles, everything is tied up into the business. It's better to get that separated out and cleaned out, and the best way to do it is work on that business credit and get it built up. So that's one answer to your question. Other type industries, I mean, anybody who's got money flowing through their business, typically what happens is we pull credit reports all the time, and a lot of people don't know this. Anybody can pull a credit report for a business. You don't have to have permission. It's all public information. So if you have the right software, I can pull your company's credit. All I need to know is what the entity name is and what state they're registered in. We pull and look at their credit report, and you can have a company doing millions in revenue, and literally there's nothing there. They look like an 18-year-old because you have to be very intentional in building that business or corporate credit on the credit reporting agency. So part of what our program does as well is we help the business work their existing expenses and get those things to report.
Okay.
And typically only about 6 or 7% of activity gets reported. So we see it all the time. We'll have a business with a lot of revenue, but there's just nothing on there.
Of course.
And
on the corporate side, though, if I'm not mistaken, that a lot of them don't report it anyway. So it doesn't. The only time they report it is if it's bad.
If it's bad, exactly. And the reason they don't report is because it costs them to report. But there are ways you can tweak things to make more things report and build that corporate credit.
Can you
profile.
pay for it yourself to make a report?
No, but you can actually use different payment methods, and that's one of the things we do is we help people set up business cards that actually do report.
Sure.
And if you're going to buy something, just use this credit card instead of that credit card, and make sure that stuff gets reported. And the typical like Uline and Granger. There's a lot of companies out there that just market to all businesses. They will report if you set the account up properly on the front end, and that's kind of part of our program to help.
That's
help
awesome.
businesses do that.
That's awesome. Well, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, well, we're
Websites, emails, phone numbers.
We're actually in the still in the formation stage. We're working to get all that stuff finalized, but the website is assurancebusinessconcepts.com. Assurancebusinessconcepts.com. There are 4 partners. My name's Chris Wilson. It's Chris at assurancebusinessconcepts.com. And then my other partners
ABC.
ABC, that's right. ABC's of building better business credit. It's kind of our motto or logo. But we have myself as Chris, and then we have Sean, SEAN, Frank, and Rick, RIC, at that email address. And we'd be happy to chat with anybody who's interested in learning more, for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on, Burn the Ships, quick and easy. I want to do one in 1 year, see where you are in the business.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's always a different conversation a year in.
Yeah,
Because then you're like, this is how I screwed up. This is where we did good. And I'm not going to do that anymore. Because, those small failures are important for success.
Absolutely.
They are.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having me.
Everybody be kind to each other out there.